Hi, everyone, and welcome to Thursday. You're not going to believe it, but we're already on a chapter review of chapter 13. So we're going to say goodbye to perimeter and area, and we are on to bigger and better things next week. So we're going to start with some vocabulary because today you're going to take a practice test. Tomorrow, your parents will give you the practice, the real test, and also your vocabulary test. Because vocab, remember, is very important. So the first thing we're going to do is hurry up and get a joke before my iPad goes dead. My friends, why was the Easter Bunny upset? Because he was having a bad hair day. Hair. How about this one? I was going to tell you a joke about an egg, but it's not all that it was cracked up to be. Um, what did the Easter Bunny say to the carrot? It's been nice gnawing you. All right. I think, where does the Easter Bunny go when he needs a new tail? To a retail store. All right. Well, let's get started. So we're going to take a look at our word bank, and we are going to use these vocab words to complete each sentence. Area, composite figure, formula, perimeter, square unit, unit square. I'm going to make this just a little bit larger so Mrs. Swimp will be able to write. So let's get started. Number one, the distance around the outside of a figure. We've talked about the outside of a figure over and over in this chapter. And by this time, you know that particular answer is perimeter. So we need to write perimeter here. A little bit thick. Perimeter. We know you should be spelling it correctly because it's right up there in the word bank. Perimeter. Number two. A unit square has one blank of area and can be used to measure area. Well, my friends, a unit square has one square unit. So this is going to be square unit. So we're going to get it all on there. You're probably writing faster than I am. All right, number three. A blank is an equation that shows the relationship between two or more quantities. A blank is an equation that shows the relationship between two or more quantities. I'm going to chalk these off. I've done these. If we're not sure with number three, let's go on to number four. Blank is the number of square units needed to cover a figure without overlapping. The secret words here, a figure without overlapping and needed to cover. When I hear things like that, I know it's going to be the area. So let's put a capital A there. Area, we're going to cover something completely, but we're not going to overlap. Number five, a square with a side length of 1 unit is called a unit square. We know 1 means unit. So we would put unit square. Number 6, a blank is made up of 2 or more figures. So 2 or more figures. This kind of would remind you of when we did the rectangles or the squares, and we had the lesson where we needed to maybe something wasn't perfect, and we had to measure an area of one, an area of the other. We called that Composite figure or formula, which makes the most sense? If you said composite figure, you are correct. So you can put composite figure right down there in number 6. I'd prefer for you to actually write out the word so you become a better speller. Well, then I know through the process of elimination, number 3 must be formula. A formula is an equation that shows the relationship between 2 or more quantities. And we talked about formulas and I compared it to recipes that tells us what to do with our quantities. All right, let's take a look. On 7 and 8, they want us to do this. They want us to measure. First, they want us to give an estimate, and then they want us to actually measure. So if you could find a tape measure at home or a ruler, you want to take a look at each one of these shapes and kind of give a guess how many centimeters, because they want it to the nearest centimeters, they would be. A great way to do an estimate for centimeters for you guys is to look at your pinky nail. Across is almost a centimeter. So if you would take that along the triangle and then maybe along the rectangle, you can give your estimate. And then take your ruler, and remember with a ruler, you've got 1 through 12 inches on one side, but you have centimeters on the other side. And generally they go from about 0 to 30 or 31. So you'll use the centimeter and tell me what the actual would be. How many centimeters? All right, let's go to the next page. On the next page, it says, find the perimeter of each figure. You know that perimeter was, again, side plus side plus side plus side. So when you look at this triangle, you need to measure all 3 sides. In this case, we only have 3 sides, so it's side plus side plus side. But on my number 10, I have 6 sides. What shape is 6 sides, by the way? If you said a hexagon, X for hex, X for 6, you are so smart, and you need to add up all 6 sides, or because each side is equal with this particular shape, you could do, instead of repeated addition, I would just say, what's 6 times 4? And that's going to give you how many feet are around that hexagon, because we're doing perimeter. Find the unknown side length for each figure. Then the perimeter. The perimeter is 30. So if I know this side is 10, well, then we know this side, of course, is 10. Now, what they're saying is if I said 10 plus 10, 10 plus 10, plus something else, I just don't know, it's going to be my 2 sides there, is going to equal 30, I have to use some logical reasoning. I know 10 plus 10 is 20. I know 30 minus 20 is 10. Well, if I have 10 that I have to divide into 2 sides, very easily, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So I now know all the sides of my rectangle. On the pentagon, the 5-sided shape on number 12, it's showing me this pentagon has 6 meters, 6 meters, 6 meters, 6 meters. Well, then I know I can logically think that the last side is also going to be 6 meters. Count unit squares to find the area of each figure. Then write a multiplication equation. And we have done this so often, so we're going to do it one more time. Let's go ahead. Mrs. Swint wants to make this a little larger for us. If you count the squares, simply count each unit. It will tell me that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I know that my area is going to be 10 units. If I had to then 10 square units, and I'm going to abbreviate my squares right now. If I had to do an equation here, I know area, the formula is length times width. I know my length was 5. My width is 2. Area equals length times width. So I would say this is 5 times 2 equals x. And then I could say x equals 10, of course. I would do the same for number 14. The area, and then you can go ahead and do the equation. 15 and 16, using the formula of area equals length times width, you will find the area for both of those. Remember, these are going to be inches squared for or square inches or square meters. They've got the label for you. Let's go on the next page. On the next page, it's going to show you problem solving. Refer to the figure at the right for exercises 17 and 18. The figure represents Kathleen's backyard. It says use the distributed property to find the area of Kathleen's backyard. When we use distributive, we're partitioning or distributing the power. And they're saying, let's cut her backyard up here and make this 10 and 2 instead of 12. Your new property using would look like this. We would have 10 times 2 and add to that, I'm sorry, we would have 10 times 5. I hope you corrected me on that one. Mrs. Swint, that wasn't right. Let's see if I can get rid of that. I was just making sure you're on your toes. So here we're doing 10 times 5. And once I've got 10 times 5, I need to add to it this rectangular piece that's 2 times 5. So if I multiply 10 times 5, I got 50. Easy, easy. And I'm going to add to it 2 times 5, which all my friends know is 10. And we then can add 10 plus 50, and we have an area of 60 square meters. Now, I know some of my friends could have just said 12 times 5, but they wanted you to show the distributed property. Tile the rectangle to find its area. What do you notice? I'm going to say this. We know that to find the area was area length times width. You do not have to do this. To tile, it would make my array of 5 rows of 12 columns. Let's go into brain builders. For 19 through 21, refer to the figure at the right. The figure shows the shape of a room. Each square unit represents 1 square foot. What's the area of the room in square feet? You could either count this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's one way to do it. The other way that you could have done it is this. You could have created, this is a composite shape. I could have went this way. I could have said 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 feet by 2 feet. So 4 times 2 is 8. And then I would have added it to 2 times 4, which would have been another 8. And so 8 plus 8 is 16. Either way, I would have gotten 16 square foot. Latoya says that the perimeter is 14 feet. Is she correct? Explain. Remember, with perimeter, we're counting all the sides. I like to use my pen just to tick it so I don't forget any. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Corners are tricky. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I want to make sure I did this correctly by saying 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I know we've got it. Is she correct? I'd say no. And then explain that when you counted and used the ticks, this is what you got. They want you to decompose the figure into 2 rectangles. We just did that. And if you decompose it into 3 rectangles, what's going to happen to the room? You're going to be like, what? 3 rectangles? What are they talking about? No, they're talking about this. What if I would have went ahead and said this was 1 rectangle? So I've got this long rectangle. And then I got those 2 little ones there. What happens to the area? Will it change? Yes or no? And then your test practice is find the unknown side length of the figure to the right. The perimeter is 26. So again, when you have something like this, I know if this is 8 and I have a true rectangle, my sides are parallel and my other 2 sides are parallel. So chances are you can get what this is pretty easily. All right, friends, go ahead and do your practice test, test 1A. Tomorrow you'll do the real test 2A and the vocab. Have a great day. Mrs. Swint says goodbye. Take care.